Hi, guys. Welcome back to Gex and Specs and Friends. It is episode 12 of the season. We have finally made it to our season finale. Today, it is going to be me, Tiffany, and Taylor, and you guys sent us in some questions, and we're going to be answering them for you. And we're going to try and not babble on like we usually do, but we probably will. Um, and also, just a quick little disclaimer, guys. We're gonna try to get to everyone, but there's a lot of questions. So if you don't hear yours, I'm really sorry. We are gonna try to get to everything as much as we humanly can possible. But without further ado, I'm gonna let them say hi. Hi, guys.
Hey everybody.
So,
Hey.
so guys, we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start with the fun questions because I just find like we always talk about reptiles and birds, apparently, but I want to just try something a little different because we did get some questions that aren't reptile related. So I'm gonna start answering those first, and then we'll get into more of the reptile heated conversations, guys. So for all of us, the first question is, what is your favorite TV show currently and why?
All right. I'm so ready for this. So my current favorite TV show is it okay if I go first?
Go.
Is The Witcher on Netflix because I grew up like loving the games and I honestly haven't played them that much. I always watch like my fiance and my stepdad like play them, but I do love Geralt of Rivia. Like he's a great character. I don't know. And when I watched the show with Henry Cavill, like I just fell in love all over again. Like it's my favorite.
Is it really that good? I've been meaning to watch it because my
I'm
partner plays the
obsessed.
games.
I'm
Okay.
obsessed with it.
All right. I'll definitely
Yeah.
have to check it out. What's yours, Taylor, if you have one?
Well, wait, do animes count?
Yeah, you
As
can name an anime. I'm not gonna tell you no.
well, I don't know. You know how people are like animes separate than
I
cartoons.
literally watch animes all the time. We've been over this. I used to
I know.
cosplay. You can name an anime.
All right, so currently, of course, My Hero Academia because I'm very like stuck on one show after Steven Universe left, but My Hero Academia.
Don't even get me started on Steven Universe leaving. Don't. Don't even. I guess mine right now is so up until recently I didn't really have a show I was watching until this new show came out and it's by Pendleton Ward, the same guy that made Adventure Time. This one's more adult. It's called The Midnight Gospel and I
Oh
really
my
like
god,
it
yes! Talk
because
philosophy. Oh,
yes. It's a lot of so basically for people who don't know, the trailer won't tell you anything of what you're getting into, but the show itself is basically a podcast interview with visuals going on in the background that are supposed to represent the theme of what they're talking about. And it's a lot of like existentialism, a lot about meditation, about like otherworldly practices or other parts of the world like practices like with meditation, magic, stuff like that, being one with your truest self. They talk about psychedelics a bunch in it. And I really like am interested in weird stuff like that and it's just really really good and it's by a guy that I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's been on like the Joe Rogan podcast a couple times and I really like him. And he's the main character. He voices the main character and it's really really good. His name's like Duncan something and I can't remember it off the top of my head, but Midnight Gospel, if you're into like weirder, like deeper stuff, definitely check that out. I've been obsessed with it. It's only like 8 episodes too, and they're like 20 minutes long, so it's
yeah.
nothing like crazy. But Midnight Gospel, and I've been trying to watch it slowly because I usually binge shows, but I don't want to binge this because like every time I watch an episode, I get like really deep in thought and I have to think about it.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
it's a definitely a show you need to watch and visually process it. You need to like focus on it because if you miss something, you're out.
Oh yeah, no, it's really hard because like this show, like sometimes if you get too enwrapped in what they're saying or too enwrapped in the visuals, you'll miss one aspect of the show. Like it's definitely a show that has rewatchability value because like
So what can you watch it on?
Netflix, it's
Netflix.
on Netflix.
Oh, I have to watch it. I totally have
Oh my
Netflix
God, you're gonna have to tell me because like
and a ton of times. So
It is
it's
good. It
so
is really
good.
good.
I was a little apprehensive because, like, unpopular opinion, I didn't really like the last few seasons of Adventure Time, but that's because Pendleton Ward left, and I just felt like the show lost a bit of its way. But he definitely, like, this is just something amazing, and like, you can definitely tell he has creative like freedom in this versus working on a kids show. So
Well, yeah, because this one's more adult. Like
yeah, it's not like Adventure Time. Moral of
and
the
it's the
story.
visuals are interesting. If even if you don't want to hear what they're saying, the talking and everything, it's just if you like Adventure Time's aesthetics, like design, it's definitely
So I'm assuming it's animated, like
Yeah.
yeah.
okay, that's cool.
It's basically
A
so
podcast is animated because it has nothing to do with the show what they're talking about.
yeah, well, so like what I actually picked up on in the show is that well, everything may seem weird. What they're doing in the background with the visuals is they're telling like an overarching theme of what they're talking about in that episode of the podcast.
Well, yeah, I could get that because the first episode, the zombies, and they're talking about drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
But
that.
yeah, but like that's it's really just no going in like Tiffany that like you're gonna get distracted by something at some point. Like you're either gonna get too into the talking and you won't notice the visuals, or you're gonna get too into the visuals. Like
I'll
it's
probably get too into the talking, and Mike, my man, will get too into the visuals.
so
That's
you
how it.
guys can bounce off each other.
Yeah, we'll come together to watch the whole
You
thing.
know, honestly though, when I thought of it, I don't know if I can say it on here. Like it's kind of drug related, but like when you would like you, I wonder people that are on LSD would be watching that, how they would visually see that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's definitely um without getting too into it like like it's definitely got some acidy kind of vibes to it. Like
That's
deeper
right.
thought processes and whatnot. Yeah. So
Uh,
I can't even imagine. Uh um Okay, so moving on to the next question. I can't really answer this too well because I don't play Animal Crossing a lot. But favorite Animal Crossing character. I guess I'll start this one off. I think her name's Nan. Nan? Is that a character? I'm
yeah, that is right, Taylor.
okay, good. Cause that's what I thought her name was. I'm not good with names yet. And I like really like her. I spend a lot of time talking to her.
Isn't
Cause
that the
I have like New Leaf, I think. That's the game before this one released.
yes, New Leaf is
Yeah.
Yeah, so
honestly, unpopular opinion better.
I've been playing it on my partner's 3DS, and I think Nan's my favorite character so far. But yeah. You guys
Oh,
can
she's
go.
cute. I like her. I just looked her up.
Yeah, Sam's a goat.
She's adorable.
So who are you guys's? Because I'm sure you could go more in depth than I
You want me
can.
to go first?
Whoever wants to
Sure.
go first can go first.
Obviously, hands down, since New Leaf, because I guess he was only in New Leaf. I thought he was in City Folk, but Lionel. I love Lionel. I will fight Lionel. Um, I loved him because he's such a sweetheart, and suppose yeah he does flirt with you for an old looking lion, but he got class, definitely class, and I was like he just brings joy, and the fact that when I got him, I was like I don't need anybody else, and then I found Rattles, I was like so like Rattles might be up there too. So those
So,
are my two favorite.
oh, sorry. So my favorite, I have two that are tied. I really love Bengal. I think like if I had to choose, I would choose Bengal, who's a little tiger girl, and she's just so cute. And like I don't know, when she sings, I'm like I get emotional because I just think she's so cute. And then also Tia, which is the teacup elephant. She's
Oh,
awesome. So I have both of them, and they're definitely my favorite residents.
I love
I
Bengal.
didn't even know they had elephants.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they have
she's the only one I've
elephant.
seen.
Oh,
You
me
don't
learning something new.
To be honest, not very much of the elephants are cute. Tia and then that oh god, what's it's not in the old elephants before elephants were a thing, it was the prehistoric elephants. I can't think of
Oh,
the name.
Mammoth.
Mammoth. So that other one, the one that looks like a mammoth, is my other favorite one.
Okay.
I
But
can't
yeah,
think of
I love Tia and Bengal. I think they're both really cute, and I give them like all kinds of presents every day. So.
me. I give Lionel everything, even though he's like, oh, okay. It has to be fancy. I'm like, and then I
um, so this question, I don't think either of you have played Stardew yet. Or
I have not, so I
I
have to know
have, but
because
I don't. It was a while ago, and I haven't played recently.
okay, well, if you remember, I'll let you start, Tiffany. Who was your favorite Stardew Valley character?
So I don't remember his name, but there was like this goth dude that was really miserable, and I loved him.
I know who you're talking about. It's Sebastian. I know
Yeah,
exactly who you're talking
he's
about.
so miserable. I like him.
Um, I'm actually romancing him, so
That's what I was gonna try to win him over.
um my current favorite characters because I like really fell in love with it. I like RPGs are definitely Sebastian. I kind of debated dating him or I also really liked Elliot, who's like the writer. He's a writer and he lives on the beach and like I'm a writer and I was like I'm in love, but like he's a little too stuck up for me at first and he's a little too over the top and fancy and I don't
wait,
particularly get into that.
I have a,
Um, what were you gonna say, Taylor?
is it like Harvest Moon? Because it sounds like Harvest Moon.
It is like Harvest. It's like a love letter basically. A part of it's like a love letter to Harvest Moon. He basically created it to be a better Harvest Moon kind of game with more options. Like in this game like same-sex romances are like okay. Like you can have a
Okay.
same-sex marriage. They have more biracially diverse characters. It's a little more adult than Harvest Moon, I would say, because there's deeper storylines that involve like with villagers that involve like suicidal thoughts and like alcoholism and affairs and like PTSD from war. Like it
Okay.
gets a lot deeper.
It seems funner.
Yeah, and I've been getting really into that. I like Linus too. He's not a romanceable option, but I literally give him gifts all the time because anything I give him, I feel like he's super happy with. And he's like a homeless guy that lives in the area, and like he's my
Oh,
homie.
I remember him. Yeah, he lives like by the mine, or at least
Yeah,
yeah.
but
I
Wait,
remember.
wait.
that's definitely what I've been spending a lot of this quarantine doing is playing Stardew. I'm not that far in. I'm only in my first fall, but I'm really enjoying the game. And I have my like first chicken coop and I'm saving up to get a barn to get like a cow. So, yeah, Stardew's really, really fun. Um, so getting into the reptile questions and our first question directed towards someone, it starts with you, Taylor. It was, how does a typical I can't speak, rescue situation go?
So it usually goes when I get the animal, I put him in a different room. I never ever let the animals even see each other. Um, I actually kind of like feed my normal animals first, and then I'll strip down. Like I will hazmat like strip down to like no clothes because I don't want clothes to be infected in case if they did have something. I'm that kind of like paranoid, I would say, or cautious. So I would strip all my clothes down, feed them, check them. When a medical, go medically, get them checked and see if they're all fine. And then that's what I really would do. Make sure
Hmm.
they're healthy, all that. But I would never, they never meet each other at all in my rescues. They go into a different room altogether, and we're talking about miles away. I don't want not even a particle of dust to travel into the other room. Um, it's like prison. I would say it's prison for a quarantine animal. Um, I don't know where I went with this. I sound like I'm crazy.
No, it makes
Um,
total sense. I'd rather someone who does a rescue situation be overly cautious versus being too underly cautious. But
I guess
c-
so, 'cause my mom says I'm like overly cautious, so I'm like, am I crazy?
no, no,
But
no, no. I'm
I love the
very
animals.
similar, even just quarantining my animals that I buy for like breeding purposes. Like it's a separate room. I don't even like I usually buy a disposable pair of like bamboo tongs to feed them from different
Oh
tongs.
yeah, dusting
Um,
thing. They have their own special
Yeah,
towel.
they have their own separate
Everything.
dusting stuff. Like I get you. I'm technically one of those over paranoid people too when it
It's
comes
not
to
being
quarantine.
paranoid. It's being honestly. That's what rescuing should be. It should be that animal should be taught like just in medicine. You should treat that animal person like they are sick because you don't
Mhm.
know. And reptiles don't show it until the end, and a lot of my animals look sickly. So if he has something and I carelessly go touch my other animal, then they're all affected. So
Yeah.
when I even come home with them, I literally put them out the front door. I kind of like, Mom, I'm about to strip naked. Go into go into your room, and I will take all my clothes off, set it with all my clothes off, then take a shower. So I'm very like set. Like you're not gonna affect my animals because those are my kids, and I
Yeah.
don't want my kids to get sick. If my kids get sick, I basically failed them in a sense because and then their cages the cages are I set them up as I'm gonna throw them away if something were to go wrong. I don't
Yeah.
keep anything. If it's they're sick, I will throw it away. So so far I've had a good streak, two two or three deaths, but that happens.
Yeah.
But those were non-reptile related animals. But
Mhm.
and then when they get better, I put them on next door. I do put them on Craigslist, but the problem is different. I'm anal about it. I don't. I if the person they have to have the cages, they're not getting it. And I've set on animals like my bearded dragon was 6 7 months before he
Oh
even
wow.
found a home because I refused him to go into a 40 gallon. He had to go into a 40 gallon. It was like 75. He had to be in 75 or up. I wasn't going to let him be anything less. And so eventually came along
Mhm.
with 75. Very
No,
strict
I
on
think that's like really good when it comes to rescuing. Like I feel like it's very good to be like super careful with like everything going on
yeah.
with like cuz like you were saying you don't know until it's like getting to the point where it's the very end. And especially if you're dealing with underweight animals, you don't know if it was just improper like feeding and like not enough
Yeah.
nutrients or if it's parasites. Like you don't know.
Yeah, and if it's parasites, I feel like you get on your shirt and then you don't realize the stuff you wear, things harbor on it. And people should have two different clothings. Even in like I'm learning in animal behavior. People who work in like the zoos with new animals, they actually have
Mhm.
clothes that they don't care anymore about. They just put on these funky clothes that they'll really to throw away or burn. Most
That's
likely, I'll burn them.
interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I do. That's my usual quarantine and rescue
That's
procedure.
awesome. That
That's
sounds like
good.
so thorough and like careful. And also like it's nice that you are so careful at selecting their new homes because like
Yeah.
taking them from a bad situation, worry about rehabbing
It's
them and
not.
then
Yeah,
putting them back into a bad situation.
it's not rescuing if you're just gonna put them in another shitty environment. It's I
Yeah.
Exactly.
mean, it's not rescuing. It's just basically you're flipping. That's flipping to me. You're
Yeah.
just rescuing to
Yeah.
flip. And that's not me. I don't those like I told you, I those bunnies I had got back because the son I guess was allergic. But and I'm fine with that. I'm sitting on them. Nobody wants them anymore. So I'm kind of like I want them to find a home, like I really do,
Mhm.
because bunnies are a lot of work. People really don't have realize.
Oh
They're a
God,
lot
no. I
of work.
they're a lot of work.
And no offense, I'm not really a mammal besides birds. I'm not really a mammal fan, but I'm not gonna kick them to the curb. I rescued them. So I'm feeding them and everything, and then they poop stinks and they poop like thousands of poops.
Well,
Like,
'cause don't bunnies like always need like food too? Like they always
yes.
constantly need to be eating.
People can overfeed them. Actually,
Oh,
um,
okay.
people can overfeed bunnies. They should have Timothy hay first, and then veggies, and then pellets. So I always give them like I mix it all up, some veggies, but they eat it all by the end of the day. So I give them like a half a cup each, and then I give them hay to chew on, and then for that would be their food for today, and constantly getting water because they need a constant rehabilitation of water changing, and they need a lot of room. So the cage that they're in has a lot of room, but it's an old cage that I
Mhm.
have. It's hard to clean out. So they're pooping, thank God, in one corner, like even for feral bunnies, they're pooping in one corner, and it's hard to find them a home because they're feral.
Oh.
They don't.
Oh.
They don't like people. They'll come up to you, but if the moment you're gonna hold them, it's game over. It's like no.
And you have to be so careful with rabbits because they can so easily break their own spines.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, and that's
So
why you have to pick them by the scruff. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know too much on rabbits like to a huge extent. But I did know about that they're very like the whole breaking their own spine thing, like they have no fear. Like
Yeah,
Bunnies
they're like,
in my opinion, kind of stupid. No offense, but they are. I mean, if you're gonna break your own spine when your child is trying to hold you, that's why I don't want them also to kids. My mom's like, well, "Who cares if they're to kids? Like, you're gonna care when they break their spine." I don't think kids should have bunnies.
yeah, I don't
Um,
think feral
yeah.
rabbits would be good with children,
Yeah, they're
like younger.
feral anyways. And like some lady messaged me, "Can I have them?" I'm like, "You got," and for their kid. And I'm like, no, they're not
Your
gonna.
kid will get bored in one day when they can't hold the rabbit.
Yeah, or when the rabbit's not calm.
Yeah, they'll come up to whenever I'm talking about food though. They'll come up to me and they're like, "Food," and then as soon as I give food, they're like, "Bye."
Well, it's like very similar. That reminds me of the situation in Japan with the whole rabbit island. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that.
I've
Uh,
Yes.
heard of
it's a
it.
whole
Yeah,
mess. It's a whole mess. Especially like with I know like that they like they're very feral and people like will go to the island because like the social media output of that is like people with bunnies laying on them and like with bunnies all over them and people go to that island thinking that they're very sweet healthy bunnies and that's not what they get themselves in for if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like it's sugar coated on online.
Yeah, like I remember a YouTuber, I think it was Lennon the Bunny. I'm not 100% sure, but she went and she was like displaying, I don't like all of her content, but just because I'm not super into rabbits, but I happen to tune in every once in a while. And I remember she went and there was a lot of injured, underweight, sick bunnies because like they've completely destroyed the ecosystem on the island
yeah,
and the only time they get fed is when people buy food and bring it to them. That's the only time they're eating.
yeah. Bunnies
So,
will definitely. They'll definitely kill themselves because they'll overeat or they'll destroy
yeah.
everything, and they'll,
And there's just a lot of bunnies there with injuries and infections and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
So,
bunnies will fight each other. People think they're this soft, innocent thing. No, they'll go to war and they're brutal. I'm talking about brutal. Kicking,
no.
biting, scratching, and
That island's just a whole mess. I know that was a little off topic, but like I always like try to mention that island because like people, it's a huge tourist like attraction, and I'm like, don't go. Please don't go. Like, I know a lot of people go because they want to feed the bunnies there because they're not being fed, but I'm like, you're just kind of contributing to the problem at that
you're making
point.
them suffer more.
Yeah. And especially because none of the rabbits there are fixed either, so it's super overpopulated as well.
Surprised the starvation honestly rate hasn't knocked down their population because that's what happened with elk and the wolves. Is
Hmm.
elk took over, but they starved. They were literally starving to the point of like they would be overplaying starve, and so they brought wolves back in and to
That's
help
what
that
like
out.
people have talked about doing with the island is like horrible as it sounds, they've talked about introducing predators just because they feel like that would at least make the situation a little bit better. And like the scary thing is about the island is it's not like like a hare or a rabbit you would see in the wild. It's like domesticated bunnies that live there.
Yeah,
Um
that's what
but
happened with this scenario. Is these two are domesticated. I don't know if they're fixed, but the problem is you can't really know if they're fixed unless you're the one that fixed them. Because I look and they look, I don't know, I can't tell if they were fixed or not, but they're a boy and a female. I'm like, please no babies. But I haven't seen her pregnant yet. We'll
so
see.
you're hoping
I'm hoping they're fixed. I don't want baby rabbits. I don't want to be a mom. Are you
they
kidding?
reproduce
I
like
want a
crazy
grandma.
too.
Yeah, I'm gonna totally be a mom. I don't want to be a grandma. This thing's not even my pet.
um Anyway, moving on to the next question. It's actually directed towards you, Tiffany. It was, how is your research on breeding Peter's banded stinks going? Like, how is the research going with that? How is it going overall?
So since like I kind of updated my story before, it's kind of at like a standstill because at
Mm-hmm.
this point it's about like what we as hobbyists and what like people of science can like find out. And I don't think there's too many
Mm-hmm.
people honestly interested in this species yet. Like I know there was one field study that I was reading about where I got like the majority. Well, no, I don't want to say the majority. A lot of my information about like how to keep them and because
Mhm.
of where they're from and how they live. But as far as breed, like as far as our husbandry goes, I think like it's as good as it's gonna get for now until we all collectively figure out and implement different ways to keep them. Like right now, mine are in a 40-gallon breeder,
Mhm.
and I have like a woodsy side or like a far not like a foresty side, but like a little like more Heidi area, I guess. And then I have
Mhm.
my hot side, which is like all sand, and I use natural play sand, which is like pet safe and screened and everything. So like it's safe for them, and it's what they need to burrow.
Mhm.
And they have a hide on that side as well, and then they have some succulents as plants
Mhm.
because the grass they live in like briar grass. So I'm not gonna do that because I don't want them to poke their eyeballs out, and I don't even know where to get that. So that's not going to be part of their domesticated environment. But they're intense little guys, like they're very hardy. So
Mhm.
I think it's kind of tough to. I mean, I've heard conflicting opinions, but in my experience and from the people I see that keep them, they seem like as long as they're healthy and cared for, they're very hardy little guys. So that's nice. But as far as the breeding aspect, so the only thing that I've really found out is someone in Hong Kong who has successfully bred them. He kept one male to two females. I
Mhm.
have one male to one female right now, so I'm looking for another female, but I don't want to order online
Mhm.
because I want to see them first. So, because I just want to make sure for myself first.
Mhm.
So, there's that. And then when he got eggs, he kept them at 30 degrees Celsius humidity. I'm sorry, 30 degrees Celsius, and then the humidity at 70%.
Mhm.
And the eggs hatched within 43 days. So
Okay.
that's a pretty small period.
For incubation, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like
different for
yeah,
everybody.
so.
I want them that
But I
bad.
would definitely need an incubator for 70% humidity.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'm going to have to buy that. Not excited for that investment right now, but
I'll have
I want to have
to
it ready.
I'll have to send you articles because there's way to make like DIY ones that I've been looking into that work just as well.
I
Um,
use a
Yeah,
chicken one.
and we get a lot of styrofoam boxes at my job.
mhm.
So like I feel like I could just recycle one and like use it
Mhm.
as like a um incubator.
I used the chicken type of incubator. I just didn't. I took out the rotation because they're cheaper, and they work the same. So I used a
Yeah,
chicken incubator for mine.
Okay.
that sounds.
I'll send you some of those articles though once we're done filming on what I've found for DIY incubators as well. Because incubators aren't cheap. Um, but yeah. Okay. So the next question we have is for all of us, and it was the hardest reptile you have dealt with. If you either one of you wants to start first, like feel free.
So, I'm gonna do this based off of my actual experiences, not like my opinions on species, because I
Mm-hmm.
think like every reptilian individual is different. So I don't really like to say that I dislike any kind of species or think anything's really difficult in a sense. I think it just depends. So the most difficult experience I've had is I was in high school and we had a juvenile green iguana, and one of my classmates was handling him and did not know what they were doing. Not that I did at the time, but I think it comes down to common sense at a certain point,
Yeah.
which this young man definitely lacked. So the iguana got out of his hold because it started to freak out and scratched the living poo out of this poor young man. And he bent over,
Yeah.
and the iguana like was running across his back, and we were in this is a technical school, so like my field of study was natural sciences. So in that classroom it was humongous. There was a lot of places for a young iguana to hide and to escape, so we didn't want that to happen because it wouldn't be good for
Mm-hmm.
anyone. So
Yeah.
I went up and I grabbed the iguana, and it tail whipped the crap out of my face and like scratched the hell out of my arms. But I just kept
Mm-hmm.
thinking, like, if he gets away, like he's gonna die or get killed or like we're not going to be able to get him or we'll get hurt getting him. So I just kind of like held him and I held his legs to his body and I pressed him
Mhm.
up against me. And then from there, like when he finally calmed down, I just like really quickly put him back in his enclosure. But it was worse than like a cat scratch, and he was just a juvenile. And like luckily he didn't bite me or anything, but he definitely like hurt me with his tail, and he was a youngin. So I would say the most difficult species I've ever personally dealt with was a green iguana, and I've
Oh
handled
yeah.
a lot of different animals, like a ton. But
Iguanas are naturally like known to be aggressive and defensive, and that like a common like an adult iguana tail whip could send you to the hospital.
Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah.
So,
I've got tail whipped as a child. Dead iguana, full grown female iguana.
Yeah, like
Smack.
I don't know
'Cause I
who
didn't
let
know.
that young man hold that iguana, but I don't think he was supposed to, and he just kind of did, and we were all like, "Why?"
you're like, hello.
But he got messed up. Like I got a little hurt, but he got really messed up. So like it was all down his back. He had
Ugh.
like scratches all down his like more like lacerations all down his back, and he got slapped by the tail like way more than I did. Like he just it wasn't good.
um, ouchie.
Uh,
What about you, Taylor? What would your
well, I have two.
Okay, go
Asian
ahead.
water monitor.
Ooh.
Wait, no, not Asian water monitor. A Chinese water dragon. What did
Oh yeah, those are something.
Yeah, so that actually I was a child, and one of the things when I grow up, honestly, I'll say my mom got me anything, and she shouldn't have got me anything. I wanted anything I wanted, my mom got me. At any animal I said, she was there, and I didn't know how to take care of them. So I was a child, one of those childs. That's why I'm very strong at it, uh,
Mhm.
of not having kids with kids, because I was one of those. Was an Asian, and it was sick. I when now me as an adult, I would know it was sick, but as a child, I didn't know that. It
Mhm.
was brown. Half of his body was brown from stuck shed and
Ooh.
rot. And he wouldn't eat. He wouldn't. Eat, and I didn't know at that time. And he had no humidity, nothing. And he just went so bad. I was crying, and my mom didn't know because my mom didn't study. So
Yeah.
we ended up just taking him back. And then another one that was more of a hard difficulty. Just I don't know if you would clear it as hard difficulty because it was just bad care more than
Mhm.
anything. And then the other one was an iguana, but it was a full size iguana. My dad had. Um,
Ooh.
he was horrible. He actually let it loose, and we're talking about California, okay? It gets winter here, and
Yeah.
he had let it loose. And well, I was trying to catch it because I thought first, is this real or is this fake? I'd never seen an iguana before, so this was cool. And I learned the hard way, and I cornered the iguana,
Mhm.
and that didn't go well. He had smacked me clear onto my back, and he's hissed, and I was like, he is real, he's real. But
Did
um,
you end up having to get like stitches or did you have a laceration or
I had
anything?
like a whole red streak all down my body. I was bawling. I've never felt pain. I'd rather be bitten by a tegu again. I don't know why I would rather be bitten by a tegu again than have a whole. I had this. I was crying. My dad's like, my mom was pissed at my dad
Mhm.
because he told him to get rid of the iguana, and he did by releasing him in the backyard. And that was yeah. And I can't even describe the pain I felt. It was burning
Ugh.
sensation, and I was crying. But I went back the next day, tried to catch it again. I didn't learn. I was a stubborn child. I went right back to it. Back.
Honestly, that why is that me though?
So I'm
I
changing
went back
my
trying to catch it,
answer.
even though this thing was big as me, because it was full size iguana. And it was hard because he was not a green; he was like dark brown. He blended with the
Oh.
so sometimes it was like, is that an iguana? Is that a lizard? And he would always climb over the fence. I would never get him because he was quick. He would always
Mhm.
climb over the fence and he would go into the neighbor's yard. At that time, I didn't know what an iguana was, but this thing fascinated me. Whatever it was, it was it was crazy.
Um,
So I
what
don't
were
know if
you
you
gonna
guys
say,
heard
Tiffany?
that crashing in the background.
Oh, I did. I was about to ask.
So I'm changing my answer. I know it's reptiles, but I'm changing my answer to a cat because cats are basically like sassy reptiles with fur.
Yeah.
And my cat just jumped on top of my reptile rack and knocked all of my ceramic bowls off onto my glass desk and all over the floor. So that was that's what that noise was.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
was
can
like,
hear
A
it.
cat.
oh, I heard it. I heard crash, 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 and I was like, you good? It-
like I was just like, oh my god. So that was my cat Capo, who I also show in my story from time to time. In fact, he's on my story right now, being good for once, but now he's locked in Ace's crate, my dog's crate, because that's my cat jail. So
No, all I heard literally as I was listening to Taylor talking, and I just heard crash, and I was like, oh my God, is everyone
I didn't
okay?
hear that. I guess I was in my own little world when I was
I was like, maybe they didn't notice, but I was like, there's no way that
I
like,
I heard it, but I didn't. I was like interested in what Taylor was saying, so I was like listening, and I was like, I'll wait to ask. I'll wait, but I was like, Is everything okay?" Like,
that was my cat Capo. Now I have four cats, and three of them are angels. Like my one is a little mischievous, but I mean she's basically pretty good.
Mhm.
My fourth one, Capo, is the biggest jerk I've ever. I've never owned an animal that was such an asshole.
oh, I have.
do
That's
any?
both of them.
Is he like hissy? Does he hiss ever?
No, he's always very sweet. He just always does stupid shit. That's his whole thing is he always does really stupid stuff and ends up breaking things. He's the same one that attacked my axolotls. And
Gotcha.
like no cat that I've had before could get into that tank. But he was like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is like a super heavy glass lid. Like, how did you, whatever. So, like, now I have the metal lid with the cinder blocks on it to keep, to cat proof it.
Yeah.
We'll get into anything.
Oh no, they really will. I'll have
he,
to send you guys pictures of my cat. She,
I have
if there's a
seven.
will, there's a way. My cat literally, um, so my mom does puzzles, and my cat, to get my mom's attention, will break apart the puzzles, steal the pieces, and drop them at random parts around the house.
that's
So,
terrible.
See, my cat isn't like,
Uh,
I'm pretty grateful. My cats aren't like a typical cat. They don't do anything. They just mind their business. But Sarah, when you're sleeping, the only thing she'll do is slap you when you're sleeping in the middle of the night. And I'm like, Sarah, I'm sleeping. And then she'd be like, can we play? I'm like, no, no, you're not getting love at freaking 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Why do you want, you
my
don't
cat,
love in the day, but you want love at when it's nighttime?
my cat, she has this problem where we're trying to teach her out of it. She will come and lay on your face while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And we're like,
God.
and like so we've woken up some like I've woken up a few times like, oh, why can't I breathe? I can't breathe. And it's just her whole body just across my face. And I'm like, no, no, Trin, we're not gonna do that. No,
Your
thank
That's
you.
cats
trying to
snore.
kill me.
They're just trying to love you to death, you know? It's
Yeah.
But
what it is.
And the only cute thing she does, she snores. My cat snores, and it's kind of cute.
yeah, so that's what that crashing was, everybody. My cat Capo being a.
Um, so I was going to answer that with the hardest my personal pets. That's kind of a tie between Wirt and Baby Melon. I'm gonna go with Wirt. Baby Melon's just very defensive, which is a little annoying, but like it's not that big of a deal. Wirt is literally a nightmare. A nightmare. Like every time anyone I post him and everyone's like, he's so cute. I'm like, sure, sure. Like
Your Instagram.
when I got him when he was a baby, he was really flighty. He liked to poop on me all the time. I've told you guys this. I've mentioned it a million times. He shoots poop at me and pee at me. And then when he went through puberty, it turned into shooting sperm plugs at me and getting very cage territorial. So I mean, it didn't hurt. It was just annoying. Every time I put my hand in there, regardless of what it was for, he'd bite me. And like he'd keep biting me and not in a mating way and like I'm gonna attack you way, which I'd rather have the attacking than the mating, but he would just repeatedly keep doing that and it was a nightmare. He's still a bit of a nightmare. Anytime I open his enclosure door, he goes full buck wild and like will hop around and hop himself out onto the wall next to his enclosure. um but he's probably my worst personal pet, but he's really not that bad. The worst
Oh,
experience I've had though was I was bitten by a Burmese python. um that hurt pretty bad. Like I've always been one
Did
to
he
say
hold on or did he strike?
it was a strike, but because they're so heavy bodied, it felt like someone punched me in the arm. Like
Ooh.
and like when the after like I was bit, like I don't even want to know if it like the Burmese python feeding struck me. I don't even want to know. But like the area around the wound like got bruised. It was like purple. Um
Fuck.
so I don't know if that's normal for Burmese python bites, but that one definitely the bite itself hurt because they have really big fangs too. Um, so it was like full force, just smacked my arm with the fangs, and it was like a close range bite too, and I was like, ow. Okay. Like so it was like for like a picture thing that I'm not gonna name the place. I don't like the place. I'll forever say that. That like my partner and his little brother wanted to take a picture with the snake, and I was like, the snake looked agitated to me at the time, and I was like, I mentioned to the worker, I was like, hey, is this okay? Like the snake looks agitated, and they were like, no, 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 it's fine. Like that they're just exploring. They S pose sometimes when they're exploring. I was like, okay. And then where I was sitting was I luckily was near the head, and I'm glad it wasn't my partner's little brother because I don't even want to know how that would have gone down. But I saw the snake look, and I knew. I was like, okay, here we go, and it full on just bit my arm, and the bleeding was pretty bad, but that's also just because anticoagulant and snake saliva. But I think what hurt more was not even the bite itself, like not the fangs, but the bruising that came with it, because it was like getting punched. Like,
Yeah.
Ouch.
Is this
um,
place I think I know you're talking about? It starts with zoo, right?
yep, yeah,
Yep, I know
yeah,
what you're
I'll,
talking.
yeah,
Yep.
I hate that place.
yeah, and I went because I was like, I used to go there as a kid, and I was like, ooh, and then I went and I was like, ooh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, and then I got to hold a tarantula there, so that was cool, but I definitely did not appreciate the burn bite. Was not a fan.
What did the people there that work there do? Like were they like, "Oh my god," or were they
They
like
literally panicked. Like I think was the more calm one in the situation than them. I literally just grabbed the snake as much as I could because you can't hold a full berm by yourself, but I was trying to move the berm away from like cuz when a snake's already agitated, they're bound to strike again. And I did not want the berm to like rear up and strike my partner's little brother. So I kind of like I know this is going to sound really bad, but like I grabbed half of the snake and like I looked at the worker and I was like, you need to come grab this snake, and they grabbed the other half, and then another worker ran over and grabbed the snake from me, and it was just like a huge spew of apologies, um like a huge spew of apologies, and I was like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And they like refunded us for like our ticket in, which I was like, okay. And then they gave us like free veggies and like free worms to feed the animals. But like it wasn't that big of a deal to me. Like I was more to me it was more irritating that I literally asked the person beforehand who's supposed to know what they're doing, and they were like, "No, it's fine." And like now I've learned, trust my own intuition. Um
yeah. Uh,
but
I could
that
make some
was
jokes about that place, but I don't want to because people would figure out who I'm talking about. But
oh
never
yeah, no, I said like I've like not to get too into detail, but I've definitely thought of doing undercover operations there and like taking pictures of how bad that place really is.
Do you guys watch Markiplier and stuff like that? Or
Yes.
Unis on? I was so
yeah.
mad when I visited. I was so mad. I was like, why? But they're in I was so mad when they visited. I was
But
but
I
they don't
feel like
know.
they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. So I wasn't mad at them. I was like, I understand. They don't know. They're gamers. I'm pretty sure they've never been around big snakes and stuff, but
Yeah.
I was mad.
Well, like not to get too into depth on this place, but when I was there, I was seeing like how they do like social media stuff with people cuz when we came in it was towards the end of the day and it was just a nightmare. They were purposely irritating animals for pictures and whatnot.
Yes, they even do it on the freaking. I'm so irritated with that place. But let's not talk about this. We're talking.
Yeah, cuz if we
Yeah,
do, I could do a whole episode on them
I could
because
too.
uh uh the next question we have is actually directed towards me. It was, are you planning to breed your Leos? Yes. I talked about it briefly. I meant to talk about it briefly in the ASMR and like the solo episodes, but I went a little in depth. Yes, I am actually working with a few breeding projects right now. I am working with super snow eclipses, trempers, super snow eclipses. I'm planning on working with a super snow eclipse white and yellow with one of my max snow eclipses because if you guys have seen Jack, he has really unique markings to him that I've never seen on another max snow or on a similar Leo, so I definitely want to see if those are hereditary. um and I don't mind, like I know like some people like were kind of mad at me for saying I'd work with white and yellow, but it's disclaimer, the white and yellow neurological issue doesn't really exist anymore unless you're improperly breeding and doing a lot of inbreeding. Um, so as long as you get from a good breeder and you are, not doing anything improper and you know your animal's history, there shouldn't be any problems. But that's what it is for Leos. And I know they didn't ask, but I'll say it. I'm going to be working with sun glows in the future as well. I really love sun glows, and I actually was going to pick some up, spoiler alert, at the Pomona Reptile Expo this summer. Because right now I'm working on these huge bookshelves that I'm working on for hatchlings, and a separate bookshelf for hatchlings and another bookshelf for the breeders. And they're going to be the equivalent of a 30-gallon enclosure for the adults and like a 10 to 15 for hatchlings. Um, but yeah, I'm currently doing that. I'm planning on working with crested geckos. I am working with pinstripes, like darker pinstripes and harlequins with the white pinstripe down their dorsal and the darker black side with Dalmatian spots as well. I am working with high citruses and high yellows. With Wirt and my other girl, hopeful girl, Peach. They're gonna be like citrus dolls, and Wirt actually has ink spot Dalmatian spots, which are huge Dalmatian spots that look like a pen ink just like dropped on them. So he has those unique markings all over his like underside. So hoping those as well will transfer over well into breeding projects. But that's just it for me right now. And for crested geckos, I am looking to look into some pink lines. Um, Pink Cadillac Reptiles. This isn't a sponsorship. I just really like their stuff. I really like their pink line, and I would like to do something with one of their offspring eventually. But that's just it for me with breeding. I could tell you all the scientific stuff and spend 2 hours talking about it, but that's the gist. Um, Someone asked us, what is your favorite leopard gecko morph? If you guys want to get into that one.
So my favorite leopard gecko morph. I really love the Max Snows. I have a Max Snow, but my all-time favorite is the Super Snows. They're my favorite. I love the Super Snow leopard geckos. They're gorgeous. Um, that's
They're
it.
beautiful. Yeah, no. Um,
Mine, mine's gotta be I'm gonna honestly say the Blancos because I love
oh,
white
Blancos are beautiful.
and I love the
Yeah.
solid white, and it has to be a solid white. It can't be like half blanc. It has to be the full on solid snow white. Because if it's like that chicken color, I'm like, no, no. I want the full. But then I just like black knights, but I think they're expensive. I rather have an animal that you can enjoy for like five, $600, $700 than a
$1,000 animal.
2,000
They're
dollar animal for a like a solid pitch black. Or now we're not even talking about a half. So
um
I rather have a white one than a black one, to be honest.
yeah, I know black knights and melanistic animals right now, from what I've seen, like if they're all black, they're going for around $3,000. So
Yeah, and they're too new. When they're not too new because they've been around, but they're just becoming more popular. Is that I've noticed like the head deformity in black.
yeah,
So
black
I'm
knights
like,
have a lot of, well, I think with black knights it's a problem with inbreeding
well, yeah,
that's
they're
going on
so
with
far down
them.
inbred that
It's
now
like
head deformity.
I hate inbreeding. It's like just be patient. Like maybe it won't happen in your lifetime, but just set it up for the next people. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Instead of like
I
ruining
know
animals.
I know melanistics, which are like the leopard geckos with high black, don't tend to have that, but they're not usually all black. They
I mean,
like will produce a few all black offspring, but for the most part it's just a mixture of black. Those don't tend to have the head deformity issues, but black knights, because they're just pitch black, they're very inbred. It's a similar problem with what happened with white and yellows and tangerines, that can happen. It's just
Yeah,
a lot
this
of
is why
inbreeding.
I don't want to buy them. I'm gonna wait until like what when I'm in my 40s. Normal, and then a new species, purple leopard geckos, come out or blue.
You mean the neon green leopard geckos that
Oh
are apparent?
yeah, neon green ones. That would be
Yeah,
cool.
that would be interesting.
Glow in the dark leopard geckos.
Ooh. What if they were like purple? Purple
I
glow in
did
the
say
dark.
purple.
I said purple glowing in the dark.
Oh yeah, that would be
We're gonna create a new morph, the glowing in the dark and the purple line crossed.
seriously glow in the dark. You turn off the lights and they're glowing, then you know something's wrong.
Oh, don't even get me started on glowfish.
Oh, you want a glow beta for $40?
Yeah,
Sell your glow glow beta for $40.
I don't even at me. My favorite morph of leopard gecko. I really like sun glows and I like super snow eclipses. Super snow eclipses are probably my favorite. My actual favorite though is super snow eclipses with Tremper mixed in because they usually end up all white animals with orange striping down their back, like Saturn, and I think they're beautiful. They're beautiful, beautiful. So that's my favorite. Okay, what is one species you would love to work with that you haven't had the chance to yet?
So for me, that would be the blue-tongued skink. I really, really want a northern blue-tongued skink. At this point, I kind of just want a blue-tongued skink in general, but my
Hmm.
favorite are the northerns.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Me personally, that I my mom goes crazy about is I so bad, and I will. I told my mom if she's old or crippled, is a dwarf caiman. I'm working with a dwarf caiman. I
oh
don't
my
care.
gosh.
Oh my God.
So I
Yeah.
don't care. I can be bitten. Anything. I want to work with a dwarf caiman so bad because I can't work with an alligator. Well, I
Yeah.
want an alligator, but I don't know if they would be legal in Washington. I have to still look if when we move to Washington if I can even have those.
I know in Florida you can have one, but you need to get a permit first. And
Oh,
it's kind of tough to get a permit. It's not like impossible, but you have to put work in.
Don't alligators just kind of vibe though in Florida? Don't they kind of just live around? Or
Yeah,
don't
I mean like you don't want to provoke one, but they're everywhere.
yeah, because isn't that illegal to even provoke like I would see me, I would be one of those like acid, like acid, that movie for feeding them. I would feed them.
I
I
oh my
wouldn't
God,
mind for
I've
feeding.
never heard I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. I've never heard anyone else talk about Lake Placid, and you just did. I was obsessed with horror movies as a kid, so
I'm obsessed with horror movies. I can, mm, but yeah, like I said it. I said it wrong. Lake Placid, like I said, Lake Acid, Lake Placid. Yeah, I would be that lady just feeding. I would. It would be totally me.
I
Just feeding
literally
them.
have I sent you guys a video of the Disney World worker trying to smack an alligator with like a pool handle out of the Splash Mountain flume?
I think
No,
I saw it.
I have not seen
I would have
it.
said that in our group chat. It's literally like it's the equivalent of us Disney workers not getting paid enough. It's literally a guy with like those pool handle nets. He's smacking he's like pushing at an alligator to try and get it out of the Splash Mountain flume and away from guests. And I was
I
like,
think
this man does not get paid enough.
I think I saw it like meanwhile in Florida, dot dot dot, like that kind of thing, and then it
Yeah.
was the video.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's how it is.
That was like my
Okay,
favorite video of all time. I'm
I
like,
have
that's
one
just
question.
yeah.
No, it's off topic, but because you live in Florida, you have alligators. So if you had an alligator in your backyard and you don't say anything, you let him just chill, can you get a fine from them being near your house?
No, no, because they're like the squirrels here. So it's like I mean I've seen a couple wild ones. I had like where I am. I'm in like I don't want to say urban. Yeah, like a more urban area. I'm in a college town, so like
Hmm.
I don't have them like in my backyard because I don't have a backyard or anything, and I don't believe there's any in the bodies of water that are around me because they're just small ponds and stuff. But I mean, just in case, like everybody around here, unless they're stupid, keeps their dogs away because it's not just the gators. What you really have to worry about is the snakes. So
Oh.
And like we have hospitals that, well, actually there's only one hospital near me that has anti-venom. And like if you have like a chihuahua, like forget it. Like you're not going to get there in time unless it
Yeah.
happens like right outside the hospital and they immediately act on it. But if
One
you have like
that's
a
like
larger dog, you have a chance. So, but like otherwise, it's like it's scary because the snakes are what like really, like at least with alligators, if you ignore them and you keep your animals away from them, they eat so little that, as long as they're well fed and they're not hungry and you're not provoking them, they
They'll
keep
kind of
to
stay away.
themselves. So, but the snakes, like water moccasins and coral snakes, like who knows? So
That's what
they're
I was
like,
gonna say. I was like, they're water moccasins and coral snakes, right? Like that's what you guys have down there? Like
yeah, and
venomous species.
I didn't know you
rattlesnake.
guys had coral snakes.
Yeah, and rattlesnake. Well, I think everywhere has rattlesnakes. I feel like we had rattlesnakes in New Jersey too.
Oh wait, we don't have diamondbacks. Like we don't. We have rattlesnakes. Yeah, we do. We just don't have diamondbacks. We just have
And
the.
then I don't know what else we have. I'm
I
not very
feel
not caught up on the wildlife down here. I just discovered Cuban tree frogs. They're
Oh,
invasive though. So if you
okay,
Seen
but
any
like
Tokies yet, or Jackson chameleons, Tagos? Have you seen any wild Tagos? Or
no, that's a South Florida thing. Honestly, it's like like way South Florida kind of
I
thing.
was
They're all the way at the bottom. I'm in North Florida, so I mainly just see like anoles. That's like my biggest, and Mediterranean geckos. I've seen them too.
I
They're
was
cute.
gonna I was gonna make a joke actually, but like isn't 95% of Florida just invasive species at this point? Like
Pretty much. I can't tell the difference between. I'm like I don't know if you were supposed to be here or not, but
um
like 90% of Florida is invasive, and I feel bad for them. I feel bad for actually the native life. Like, what the hell? All these incoming
don't
people.
you I think don't you guys have like anacondas or like Burmese python, something like that's invasive down
Burmese
there?
pythons, yeah, Burmese. Yep.
Yeah.
And like there again it's more of a South Florida thing because the Everglades are down there and like it's even hotter and more humid and like it's just like anything reptilian can thrive as long as they like it wet and hot, which is a lot of reptiles.
Yeah.
Um,
Um
so it's pretty easy to let something develop a colony down there. Like the iguanas, like they're everywhere down there. I haven't seen any where I am, but I think it gets too cold here for
Yeah.
too long. Even though it
um
doesn't really get cold, but you know what I mean.
it gets cold-ish.
Yeah.
Um So my species that I would love to work with is I mean, I guess I technically worked with it, but not really. My uncle growing up had a BCI that he had since the 80s and that thing lived like late 80s. So he had that thing around 30 years. Because it died in the late 2000s, like before the 2010s. But I would love to work with BCIs. I really like BCIs a lot. My only thing with snakes is I would want to find a local rat breeder who treats their rats well and does the whole frozen thawed thing, which is kind of hard to find. I would love, 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 love. I know like ball pythons are so basic, but I loved banana pied ball pythons with like a passion. Um, so that would be definitely one. I don't know if I'd want to own one, but I would like to work with iguanas in the future because I just find them so fascinating. And definitely one day I want to own a blue tongue skink and a tegu. I wouldn't mind either a red tegu or a black and white tegu, but I
Yeah,
want a
Tego
tegu.
would be a definitely. I forgot. I thought working with them, but definitely Tego. I would definitely want a Tego. But
Yeah.
like having a
Highly recommend
chicken
it.
and a Tego, I'm like, that's money.
You're
That's
already living
money.
the life to
Although
be
I
with your
will
tegu.
say, my Tegu is so hard to put on Instagram unless she's in her basking spot because she is the busiest little monster. And yesterday I tried to do a live video with her because
Yeah.
she was out like walking around and I was just like, yeah, okay, let's live stream. But my phone was dying, but I was determined anyway. So I was sitting on my bed with my phone plugged in, just kind of like recording her like walking around. Well, she ended up going in my closet and just like burying herself under my clothes and she was just like so happy there. Like I ended the recording because I was like, okay, this is just awkward and weird. So I ended my live stream and I like lifted up the pillow that she was under and she was just peeking at me like, oh hi mom, and I'm like, Kaiju. I'm working for the camera.
My favorite video I've ever seen of you posting of her is like when you're like, "Oh, she can't get into that spot." Like I think it was between your bed and a wall and like she managed to get into it.
She was like, I'm in. I was like,
Wait,
all
I didn't
right.
see
And then
that
she hung
video.
out there for like 3 hours.
Did I not see that video?
It was on her story,
Oh,
right?
okay. I have a bad habit of really checking people's stories. I skip through them because there's so many that I'm like,
Oh God.
Yeah, I try to keep up, but I have trouble keeping up too.
oh yeah,
I
stories and Snapchat. Like I don't even go on Snapchat. I'm like, you guys are good luck.
good luck to you. Stories I have issue keeping up with because like I follow like over I want to say 200 accounts and like it's just hard to keep up with all of that. Like I try to watch everyone's story, but if I did do that, like this is going to sound maybe a little rude. I don't like to spend all my day on my phone. I would be spending in my opinion like way too much time on my phone like for myself personally, but I try.
Well, yeah.
Um it's also hard when Instagram literally sometimes like I'll be following someone and I'll never see the stuff they post because
That's my
Instagram.
issue. And then people get like mad at me. I'm like, I'm sorry that I don't see your stuff at all. Because you can go into your followers and it shows the people you haven't really interacted with, and it'd be people posting every day. I'm like, why
I
am I
haven't
seeing
seen
this?
anything. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
you can go on your followers now, like followers, and you can say most activated with, most active with, and least active with.
I mean, oh, I didn't know they updated so you could do that.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing, and but the least active is way high. I'm in the hundreds of the least active. Like there's like on my account personally, and I'm sorry to people that fuck with me, is probably like what 5 or 6 people that I actually talk with. I notice that I see their stuff more, but even the people that I talk to, like Reptar, I don't see her stuff unless I click on her stuff.
Yeah, I think like Instagram sometimes promotes random accounts and then just doesn't promote other ones.
He does, yeah.
Like,
They don't promote. They like pick and choose, and then you start seeing people, or you only see the ones you like a lot, so you don't even get to, see the other ones. So that's why I go to the most seen or least seen accounts, and then I scroll through all that. So you can go to your followers, and that's how you can do which ones you're least active with, and it tells you.
that's interesting. Oh,
Because Instagram knows what they're doing. That's what they
yeah.
do.
I'm gonna have to look into that. All right, so the next question is, what made you get into reptile keeping?
So, I kind of posted about this on my Instagram yesterday.
Oh yeah, I keep because yeah, that
Break the
little
whole list off. Just read it, reread it.
I love that little hashtag movement. I think
it's
it's
so
cute.
cute.
It's something positive in like a really weird negative time, so like I like it a lot. But I mainly keep because I've always been fascinated with these animals, and they're just like I'm so passionate about them that it's just like a part of who I am at this point. So I didn't keep reptiles as a kid, but I had a lot of experience with them,
Mhm.
not as pets, but like in my work and research, etc. And then when I was 21, I got Renzo, and I just like, oh, it was unlike anything. Like I still of course like love him so
Mhm.
much. Like Renzo will always be my number one boy, but um I don't know. I feel like it like the main like they're just so fascinating and different, and
Mhm.
like who doesn't love dragon looking things?
That's
So
fair.
I mean, when it comes down to it, I guess I had the imagination of like a little boy because I'm just like anything like bestial and with teeth. I'm like, I'm in.
um, what about you, Taylor? What was like your getting into
To
reptiles
be
or
honest, I've always loved animals. When I was, like I told you, I grew up with animals as a child. I didn't play with dolls. I played with dinosaurs. You know,
Same. I feel
um,
that.
I feel
and so
that.
I played with animals. I just loved them. My first, like, honest, I think animal was I don't know what my first animal. I was too young, but obviously probably the iguana because my mom, because the iguana had to get going because I was born. But they just fascinate me. They look so prehistoric. They're simple in a way that if you don't want to hold them, in a way,
Mhm.
they don't care. They could be like, screw you, But you can come back and they're not like a dog or a cat. They're not gonna miss you. They're still there. They're still that, you know, It sounds like I don't love my animals. I love my animals deeply. It's
They're
But
just
there's like a
emotionally independent though, and
yeah.
yes,
it's
they're
nice.
emotionally independent, and I love that. They're independent, not like a dog that you need to put more percentage in, 90%. And I just love that. And you can watch them, they're just so goofy. They're like weird.
They're like
Like,
the goofiest little things.
yeah.
The amount of times I've seen Saturn, because I put this huge like fake pothos plant in his enclosure, the amount of times I've seen him try to like wiggle through it because I've made it into like this circular little bush and I'll just see him pop his little head out is one of my favorite things in the whole world to see when I
Yes.
come home.
When they pop their little cute little heads out, like, hi, you don't see anything, and they go back to it. It's like, do you feel uncomfortable? Like, does this not like bother you?
That's what I
It's
was
like you
saying.
put the most like I have like this jar. Sorry, I have to like this jar, and he likes to put his body on the opposite end of it, like squeeze in between, and I'm like, and then he gets stuck, and he looks at me like, "Can you help me?" Like, why? And then he does it again. He goes right back doing it. I'm like, why? He just do
Um,
stuff.
I really run into that a lot with like my animals. Like it's just my favorite thing about is when they yeet themselves across their enclosure and they don't make it and they just kind of free fall. Like
Oh, you know what I
like I
like
mean they're
about crested
fine.
geckos? When they're on the ground, they run fast. I
Oh,
thought you
they do.
think you would run fast, but he like it's cute because he escaped me one time. I was like, I thought he was gonna go underneath one of the cages, and I will never see him for a long time. I was like, fuck, no. And then he like runs, but he jumps runs. He's like running and like
Oh, they
mentally.
hop. They have little hops. They like hop run. It's the cutest
I've
thing.
never seen it, but boy, is it like he's quicker than my geckos. You would think he wouldn't, but no, he's quicker. He's on his mission. He's quick. And I'm like, oh no, 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 no.
Oh yeah, no, cresteds get like you wouldn't think, but like every time Peanuts like hopped away and like it's literally a moment of horror. Luckily my room I keep pretty bare just in case, but I've literally seen him. He'll hop real quick. He'll hop on the wall. He'll make eye contact and he'll run between my wall and my bed. And I'm like, okay, okay.
They always have
Um,
to go for the worst spot.
they literally do, and you're like, no, no, no. Okay, you're gonna go there. Okay, it's
It's
fine.
horrible because you want them to come out, but like, when are they going to come out? And they know they don't come out for the longest time.
Okay, like maybe this is bad, but I have one of the I've makeshift like the what are they called, like pipe cleaners?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
makeshifted a long stick out of pipe cleaners to like poke him with when he goes under there to like prod him out. Doesn't
Oh no,
hurt
I
him.
would do
Like
the same thing.
I like twist the ends so the ends don't touch him. It's just like this really thick pipe cleaner stick that I've made that I just used to be like, come on, come out.
If I
Yeah.
wait long enough, Kaiju will come back out.
Crested geckos won't. See, but kaiju's smart. Crested geckos aren't smart. They'll stay there.
Same thing with leopard geckos. Like, I have like this the wooden vivarium is I can't move that. That's like 200 pounds. You think I want to move that? So if they get back there, they're back there, and so it's horrible. I thought they couldn't get back there, but Satan decided to prove me wrong. He could because he looked at me. I'm like, you dare, and he looked and he went, and I didn't see him for at least 2 days. I was like, oh my god, he was still back there, and he knows. And I'm like, you better come back out here. And he just sat there. I'm like, fine, sit back there. Yeah, it
They'll
proved me
come
wrong.
out.
I hate them. I hate them when they go anywhere near that cage. I'm like, no.
Um, I guess like to answer the original question, I got into reptile keeping because like one, I was always raised around reptiles. My uncle owned a huge BCI. All throughout my very young childhood, the BCI passed away when I was about 9, I want to say, because the BCI lived around 9 or 10, because the BCI lived about 31 years. So it lived a while. And then I also grew up in Riverside, and out there it's a lot of like dry land and ponds. So I used to like go and catch frogs and like release them, or I would go out in the garden and catch garter snakes or alligator lizards, and I like was fascinated with them. And then when I was about, I want to say 9 is when I started rescuing leopard geckos off Craigslist, and all of those, like I only rescued, I want to say 2 or 3, and all of them have passed now. They were already pretty far in their lifespan when I got them. Um, but definitely that was a big thing for me. And like I've just always loved reptiles. And then when I turned 18, I actually started keeping my own and looking into eventually breeding because I just find genetics really fascinating as well. But
Yeah.
long story short, I used to catch frogs in ponds. So yeah. Question was, would you ever own a snake? Yes.
Yeah.
See, for me, I'm conflicted because like they don't interest me, but when I see Toast's sand boa, I'm like, damn
Oh my God, no, Toast is literally the cutest thing. And I
it. Yeah,
like I love him. I love him so much.
but I'm always
Dude,
wondering how the bite would feel like. I
it
don't.
doesn't really hurt.
Yeah,
Um, I've been bitten by a BCI before and a ball python. The BCI kind of hurt because it was a feeding response bite, but it wasn't bad. Even like getting bitten by the berm when I did, it wasn't that bad. I'd be more afraid of like an iguana bite or like a
oh yeah,
tegu bite than a snake bite because like snake bites, it's just literally two fangs going in and out. Like iguana bites, it's like a whole set of teeth. Um, but I don't think they're that bad personally. Like it's never gonna puncture super deep into your skin. You're never gonna need stitches. Like
yeah.
it's
Sand
that's just
boas.
my whole
They don't
thing.
even look like snakes. Like I don't even. They don't. They look like some noodle. Those noodle little things. You know those toys that
Yeah,
people pretend that they were alive, and I fell for it. I bought one as a child, thinking they were legit real because the commercial made it look like they were real.
I know what you're talking about.
And the little wormies. I was so mad. I was like, "Mom, this is what this is." She's like, "Yeah." I was crying. I thought they were supposed to be real. I fell for it.
They have derpy little faces, sand boas. Like their eyes are like a little on the side and they just have a weird snout. I
Yeah.
love them and I love hognoses. I love
I couldn't
hognoses.
get into hognoses. They just not. They don't have the same appeal to me as samboas.
See, hognoses have the appeal to me because they're so stupid. I mean like literally. Like their main form of defense is, let's see, hognoses forms of defense is first they're gonna bluff strike you. They don't even bite you. They hit you with their nose to pretend they're biting you so that you think that you got bit. Their next form of defense is they puff up their cheeks to look like a cobra. They don't, but they puff out their cheeks. If that doesn't work, they musk, which most snakes do. And if the final key, if it nothing works, they roll over and they play dead. Now you don't want your hognose to do that, but in the
Yeah, I
wild,
feel
seeing that they
bad.
do that, like I was just like, how what animals' forms of defense are literally hitting you with their nose, puffing up their cheeks, and rolling over and playing dead? Like that's just amazing. And then they have the
So
biggest
cute.
attitude. Like I love hognoses. Like lavender morph hognoses, I am in love with. Um,
Yeah,
but like I said, the snake thing is just I would want to find a local ethical rat breeder who does frozen thawed. But that's the only reason I don't own snakes currently is I'm still looking for that. Um, but yeah.
I can't have snakes with my mom.
Oh, I can't have snakes till I move out in December because my mom would have a panic attack.
My mom
So
has to be like in her grave because I'm gonna live with her until she dies. That I promise to take care of her.
hmm
So yeah, she until the day she's in the grave is the day I could have a snake. The
What
day.
were you gonna say, Tiffany?
So like if I were to own a snake, I do really love Sambos, but I think the only snake that I'll ever own, if I ever own a snake, is a pied ball python because
Oh
I
yeah,
know that like
piebalgs.
the generic love pied like bite python morph and like python is your generic snake to own, but I don't care because my favorite species of lizard is bearded dragon, so I'm just as basic as it comes.
Hey, the more basic it is, the cheaper it is. Honestly,
The
I have to
basics
say.
have their own thing. I feel like ball pythons are a little pricey, but they're cool.
Mhm.
They're like I think they're like 300 to 400.
Yeah, well, here
Yeah.
that doesn't seem that much for 300, where some of them can be
I
in a
mean,
thousand.
comparing to black knight leopard geckos that are
Well,
$3,000,
even like
300.
the lavender ball pythons that are nice, they're like a couple. They're not cheap. I've looked at ball pythons online and they're not cheap, and I they look the same. I was like, no.
It's crazy too because you can buy like a baby ball python for like $30 at expos. So it's funny. It's like they're a little bit different in color, and Now they're $1,000. Like, I
It's
don't
just
know.
like if they're like, "Oh, genetic, look at this one. It has a little bit of white on it." 6,000.
Well, because it might have heat. See, if you have that heat, though, I think heat's right. Is that's the proper one where you can pass on the trait of what you want, like those ones that don't look like Black Knights, and you're like, I'm not spending that type of money, but they have the heat for it.
Yeah,
Or
no, no, no. Like it's the
I'm saying
the
like, no, I'm not spending that. I rather
you're
spend
talking about the heads, right?
yeah the heads for it. Yeah, like someone on Craigslist was selling a pied ball python for $40 for the head, the whatever for it. And she was like, the
heads
people
tend
were
to
trying to
be
text us. She tried to edit it and saying, "You think I'm gonna sell a legit ball python, pied ball python for $40? You tripping?" But I'm like, don't show a picture of a ball pied python then. You know,
yeah.
if you're
No, it's so
selling those
like
people
heads
that.
tend to be a little bit cheaper, not by much, just because animals like actually expressing the traits tend to be a bit pricier because like it's something that you can actually prove. Like heads, it's just very much you take their word for it. Like
Yes.
even if they have pictures of the parents, you just kind of have to take their word for it. So that's why heads are like if an animal like doesn't look like it's that, but it has a head, that's why it's a bit cheaper is because it can't technically be proven. I mean, unless you did genetic testing, but I don't think anyone's going
Yeah,
that
who's
far.
gonna spend like $600 to proof for $40 snake?
Yeah.
Unless you're a
Um
breeder, that's the only thing. Unless you're a
well,
breeder.
even if you're a breeder, I wouldn't want to put like if I had a leopard gecko that was possibly had, I would not want to put them through the procedure of getting that done. Um
Yeah.
personally, but that's just me. All right, so the next question we have is what would words what would be your dream enclosure build for what animal?
I guess I'll go first again.
Yeah,
um,
we're just basically going to order.
so
We've
my
created a packing order.
enclosure for like, have you guys ever? Do you know who Monitor Girl is on Instagram? I think
No.
that's her name. She
No, I
has
don't.
a Savannah water monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, I'm sorry.
Is Savannah water monitor? I was
That
like,
doesn't make any sense. I'm drunk. I'm not really, but anyway,
it's
I'm
five
sorry.
o'clock somewhere, Tiffany.
I was reading something while I said it, and that was a mistake. Let me look it up
Savannah
because I don't
water monitor, my favorite species.
I just
You know,
made
that
up
would be a cool
species.
combo. Like, you can breed Asian water monitors and savannas and made Asian Savannah water monitor.
Let me see. What does she have? Okay, so it doesn't say. So I'm just gonna go with water monitor. So she has a water monitor. Anyway, her enclosure is like her large enclosure is amazing, and I want that for my Tegu Kaiju so bad. So there we go.
Um, Taylor, you can go
For
next.
me, it's I don't have the animal yet, but it's for my dwarf caiman. so, so once I move and I have land, I'm making this big, nice pond, even though they don't need a lot of water, but I always go extreme, okay? They can just use it all they want. I mean, they're probably going to use 5% of it. Is this big pond with a waterfall. They're coming
Mhm.
down with some rocks and some little mud pile with some grass. So they can go in there and bask and stuff like that. And then have like a heating because I'm pretty sure Washington's too cold during winter, and have like a light heat over it because I want it to be outside,
Mhm.
but I have to adjust it. So like a overhead heating, like not like a greenhouse, but like kind of like a greenhouse, like lighting heat where he can go underneath the plants and heat. So it's like a oasis
Mhm.
type of heat because in the winter he's gonna heat down on it and like have heat. It looks better in my head. Okay, but just nice, just a nice pond
It
and stuff
sounds
like
really
that.
nice.
And then to actually have my own little duck farm to feed him because I think he's ducks would be fine. They're big enough, or geese.
I was literally funny story, guys. So I was like getting the next question prepared, and like right before I almost just literally answered the next question instead of answering this one. Anyway, currently I really like making vivs. I'm working on a project. We're making my like make your own kind of build crested gecko bookshelf with the right hiding requirements and stuff like that. Like, and I want to make a crested gecko bookshelf vivarium with like obviously I mean when I say that it would be like separate sections, but I want to build one from scratch so it's just this huge display cage for my crested geckos. Um that would be my dream build. And I'm currently working on that. I would want eventually. I'd probably start out with most of it being fake plants versus vivarium, but I eventually would want to get it to be to where they're all vivs because I currently only have one viv, and that's Warts Viv, and I've since I've made it, I've always wanted to make more, and I just think making a just like a really cool because I've never seen someone do like a crested gecko bookshelf from scratch with the right proper like height requirements and whatnot, and I would love to do that. I'd love
That
to
would
be
be
the
really
first
cool.
person to do that. So
Yeah.
um, that's just me. Let's see. What would be a reptile you'd never want to own?
Tiffany.
Tiffany?
I'm trying to think because it's kind of hard. Probably like any kind of like massive snake because I have cats and guinea pigs and
Yeah.
like my tegu's enough. Like they So, like, I love monitors though. So, if I ever get to a point in my life where I don't have anything smaller than a cat, then I might go for it. Not that I let my cats like hang out with my reptiles, but per se, but my cats are very good at getting into everything.
So just being
So,
precautious.
yeah, so like, and also like, I don't want to like, I don't want it to kill me. Like, I know that like that's not likely, but
What it
I
could
also am
happen.
not a very lucky person.
It's
So
actually
my
bacterial
snake would
from
turn on
the
me.
actually do a lot more damage than actually the animal himself.
But
What was
The,
you
the
saying?
bacterial, because actually it's believed that monitors have venom, but it's not like like a
it
snake
depends
venom.
on what you are, if it's venomous to you or not.
Yeah.
Like
It
my
Yeah,
also monitors, from what I've heard, just technically have really dirty mouths.
yeah,
And that's more
that's
what
yeah,
you
what
have to
they
worry about.
supposedly say. That's the part that's venom. It's their bacteria, like the Komodo dragon. He's not really like a venomous animal, but
He's
he's
just got a dirty mouth.
dirty animal. Like that's what they declare venom as their bacterial. But monitor. That's how. Because I watched Fatal Attraction. The guy actually died because he thought he could be bitten by his monitors and never went to the hospital, and he died from it.
Yeah,
I
oh,
mean,
yeah,
I get
I
that.
remember that show.
Yeah,
That's
I watched
crazy
it
too.
recently, so
Because like, wasn't he like hurting? Like, didn't he think like, oh, maybe I should go to the doctor? Like, it doesn't
no,
happen right away.
he basically what happened because I really just watched it maybe not even that too long ago. What his scenario was is he lived in a small apartment. They had free roaming. They never had a cage. He had from
Yeah,
the
that's
video it
smart.
looked like a savannah, a black throat, and an Asian monitor that he had.
Mm-mm.
Well, of course, and they're reptiles. They're gonna have attitude. So I guess it bit him. And when he went to like at work, he said, "Oh, I got bit." Right? He never thought anything of it. Well, when they were explaining that when you get bit, it's bacteria. It starts to what happens when you have infection and you're not getting it treated. You get sick, and he died. He died from not treating his wounds, basically.
That's crazy. Yeah, which
And
of
they
his pets
ate
bit
him.
him?
They ate him.
Oh, yeah, they did do that.
They what I mean, what do you expect?
Like, I
Either
mean, if something's starving, like, it's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
but
Um, I
that's
wouldn't own anything venomous ever. I know some people are really into hot reptile keeping. I'm not. Um, I think the most venomous I'd go is a hognose. I'm also not super big on monitors. Just for me personally, like I'm not super big on savanna monitors and stuff like that. I think the biggest I would go would probably be a tegu, which is pretty big, but I like tegus a lot more than I like monitors. And then if not tegus, then I would definitely own a BCI, but I wouldn't want to do anything bigger. Like I would never want an anaconda. I would never want a berm. But so berm, anaconda, any type of monitor really. Yeah, that's kind of where I draw the line
for
with.
me, basically iguanas, bearded dragons. I'm sorry. Bearded dragons and iguanas. I can't stand iguanas. I mean, I don't hate them. It's just I have a grudge against them. Um, and then yeah, that's pretty much really the only two I really want. And then snakes, really, unless Sambo fell into my feet off the sky, and turtles. I could never
Oh
own
yeah,
turtles. I
Oh, I would
they
never
are
own an aquatic turtle.
boring.
I didn't think of that. I
I
would
I
own a land turtle, but not.
um
Not even
That's a
tortoises.
I
I've never
would
even owned a
but
tortoise.
not an aquatic turtle.
I would own a tortoise if it was already like decently through its lifespan.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't want to get it like I'd want to get a rescue tortoise or a rehome that's decently in its life. I don't want a baby tortoise. I do not want something that's going to live till I'm 60. That maybe
Exactly.
sound harsh, but like it could outlive me and then what like literally sulcatas, what happens with them is people put them in their will because they
Yeah.
live that long and I
Yes. Yes, we act. Yes, that they live forever, and I kind of do it now. I just, me personally, I don't know. Turtles and tortoises don't. I mean, don't grab me. I think a red-footed tortoise is the cutest little guy, but I would never own you. I would be the person that would visit your house and pet them and say good job. Same with bearded dragons. Bearded dragons never. I mean, I know they're popular. It's just they never. Yeah.
Yeah, they never really, just for me, like the only bearded dragons I've ever been super attracted to is like puppy dog eyed ones, the ones that have the puppy dog eyes. Like those kind of get me. I like citruses and I like zeros a lot, but I don't know if I'd ever own one. Like I wouldn't mind it, like maybe somewhere down the line, but like beardeds, like for me, like my Leos have similar enough personality, some of them, to a bearded. And like beardeds from what I've like 'cause what I've seen are like they're individuals in their own right, but they're not for me. It's very high care requirement in my
They're not
opinion.
lizards. They're dogs.
Yeah, they're little puppies.
And me personally, and it's weird as it sounds, 'cause I do have a dog, but it's mainly my mom's. Is I don't want animals that are too kid-like to me.
Mm,
I mean,
mhm.
in a situation, not like I love animals more than kids. I'm not a kid person, and if the animal is too kid-like to me, I'm like, well, I don't know. It does. And bearded dragons fall underneath that kid-like, even though I want a cockatoo. See, this is weird. I want a
So
cockatoo, which is a
the way
kid, but a
sorry.
bearded dragon doesn't fall underneath that. But
What were you saying, Tiffany?
The way I approach this question, as I was just thinking of like if someone had one and told me they desperately needed me to take it and keep it for myself, like because they couldn't keep it any longer and there were no other options, which animals would I turn away? And I feel like